Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're cutting through the noise, diving deep into a really remarkable collection of sources. We're looking at, well, everything from high-stakes U.S. policy shifts and some groundbreaking blockchain stuff to the practical, real-world uses of AI. Our goal today really is to help you see how these things that seem separate are actually weaving together, shaping the future of digital assets, tech, the whole landscape. We've got news about a major U.S. bill, presidential ties there, some frankly, surprising moves by big finance giants, and even what's happening in places like Dubai. It's all about getting you those key insights, those aha moments, without you getting bogged down.
Yeah, and what's really striking, I think, is how these individual bits of news, when you put them together, they paint a much bigger picture, a clearer picture maybe, about how this whole digital asset world is evolving. We'll look not just at what's happening, but, why it matters, especially for you trying to navigate all this change.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Let's unpack this piece of legislation our sources are calling a pretty landmark. The bill passed by the Senate July 2nd, 2025. That was with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. Right. And it's said to be signed by President Donald Trump on July 4th. Symbolic date. Now, the material we have says President Trump is a, quote, massive fan of Bitcoin and crypto. But the bill itself doesn't actually mention crypto directly. Still, there's this strong expectation of, well, significant indirect impact.
That makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? If crypto isn't explicitly mentioned, how can a bill like this really sway the market? The analysis here points out that, Senator Cynthia Lummis's proposal for special tax treatment for miners and stakers, that didn't make the final cut. But it's those indirect impacts. That's where the real story seems to be, especially when you consider the U.S. has, over $10 trillion invested in crypto? It's huge.
So what does this all mean for you, for Bitcoin, for crypto?
Our sources dig into a few key areas where this bill could, create ripples. Okay, first up, capital flow and investment diversification. The bill extends those 2017 Trump tax cuts. So no federal income tax on tips, overtime, bigger child tax credits, senior tax relief. And it also mentions a potential hike in the SALT deduction cap state and local tax. The takeaway here isn't just, more cash floating around. It's maybe more subtle. By boosting disposable income, especially for service workers, the idea is this could sort of accidentally create a new wave of organic crypto adopters, people using it for savings, maybe remittances, practical stuff, not just investment. And for the higher earners benefiting from that SALT cap change, well, the thinking is they might diversify more into Bitcoin, ETFs, maybe tokenized assets.
That's a really crucial point. It's not just about the tax breaks themselves. It's about potentially shifting where capital flows, new avenues opening up.
Exactly. Okay, second point, the regulatory signal. This bill has a very pro-growth kind of anti-regulation feel to it. It definitely favors traditional energy, oil, gas, and traditional capital formation. The report stressed this signals a business-first approach to policy. And the key insight maybe isn't just pro-business in general, but that crypto, which used to be seen as, an outlier, maybe even adversarial, now it's kind of implicitly being woven into that business-first growth strategy. And President Trump has said he wants the U.S. to lead in crypto, so maybe this paves the way for, clearer pro-Bitcoin rules down the line.
Right. Ultimately, it paints a picture where digital asset innovation is seen as, maybe aligning with broader national economic goals. It's like a quiet but powerful endorsement.
Okay, moving on. Third point, border and defense funding and censorship resistance. The bill pumps a lot of money into military and border funding, focus on surveillance, security tech. And the analysis introduces this idea they call the cipher narrative. Interesting term. It basically suggests that as government surveillance, state power potentially expands. Individuals might increasingly look for digital tools offering real privacy, freedom from oversight. This points right at the appeal of self-custody, borderless money as a hedge, especially relevant for things like cross-border payments, keeping financial freedom.
It's a really compelling argument about how, human behavior adapts when people perceive shifts in state power. They seek out alternatives, systems offering more autonomy.
And fourth, this bill really shines a spotlight on inflationary pressure and Bitcoin's hard money proposition. This legislation, the estimate is it adds, $3.8 trillion to the U.S. economy over 10 years?
Yeah, a huge number.
And without clear ways to pay for it, relying on those trickle-down assumptions. This inflationary pressure, it's not just some abstract economic thing. It really highlights Bitcoin's core value, right? As governments print more, as debt grows, Bitcoin's fixed supply, it kind of transforms it from just an asset to maybe a necessary hedge against financial instability, a flight to quality. and a pretty compelling argument for younger generations looking for a reliable store of value. Our sources even remind us President Trump talked about maybe buying Bitcoin to clear debts, even the possibility of government buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, putting this all together, the source suggests that even without mentioning crypto directly, this bill could act as an economic accelerant for Bitcoin and crypto by, lowering barriers to capital entry and also reinforcing those inflation fears. It kind of tells a pro-Bitcoin story by default.
Okay, so that's the policy backdrop. With all that setting the stage, how is Bitcoin itself actually responding? Our sources show not just Bitcoin's utility evolving, but also these, surprising ways traditional finance is finally embracing digital assets.
Well, what really grabs your attention, I think, is this effort to build DeFi decentralized finance directly on Bitcoin. Now, for some Bitcoin purists, adding complexity to the main chain is controversial. They think Bitcoin should stay simple, just be pure digital gold. But companies like Botanix and Botanix, they're trying to bridge that gap. They've launched Botanix Mainnet. It's effectively a Bitcoin layer 2, designed to boost Bitcoin's usefulness while, crucially, aiming to keep self-custody possible. It leverages that Taproot upgrade from a few years back, and this new mainnet, it boasts like 5-second block time, super low fees, zero consensus. It's got heavy backing too, from Chainlink, Fireblocks, big names. They even have a game, Bitcoin 2100, to get users exploring apps, earning some Bitcoin. But the governance, it's managed by a 16-node federation. And that does make you pause and think, right, does a federation, even a big one, really guarantee decentralization? Or is there always some, room for compromise when you centralize control, even just a bit?
It really is fascinating how much things have changed, isn't it? A decade ago, these big finance players, they were huge Bitcoin critics. And now, it seems like they've really decided to, as the source says, bend the knee to digital assets. I mean, Deutsche Bank launching crypto accounts. Who saw that coming 5 years ago?
We're definitely seeing major moves. Deutsche Bank, planning crypto accounts for 2026, partnering with Bitpanda, Taurus, expanding in Europe. They're also looking into stablecoins, tokenized deposits. It reflects this wider trend among big German banks too. And then you've got this partnership between BigJet Wallet and MasterCard, launching the CryptoLink MasterCard. This lets users spend crypto directly, like at 150 million merchants. Real-time conversion to fiat. It's available in the UK, Europe now, planning to expand. And they're targeting millennials, Gen Z users in emerging markets where crypto payments are really taking off. Okay, so practical implications. For our listeners, the individual holders, what's the key takeaway here? This brings us back to that crucial point the source makes. Not your keys, not your cryptocurrencies.
Exactly. Well, these things, banks offering accounts, crypto cards are undeniably good for adoption, for bringing new people in. They are absolutely not a replacement for self-custody. The material reminds us of history, right? Like Celsius, other third parties having major problems. It's just critical to understand. A BitKit card might be great for spending day to day, but holding long term. Self-custody is, the source calls it absolutely non-negotiable. So for instance, if you do buy Bitcoin through Deutsche Bank, the strong recommendation is move it immediately to your own wallet, your own custody. It's about using the convenience while keeping true ownership.
Right. Okay, let's widen the lens now. Look globally, specifically Dubai and the Middle East. Our sources are really highlighting these areas as increasingly vital hubs in the digital asset world.
It does make you wonder why the UAE specifically. Why such a strong alignment? Well, the Bitcoin miner Hut 8, they just raised $220 million, and they're building deeper ties with the United Arab Emirates. What's interesting here is Hut 8 is the majority owner of American Bitcoin, co-founded by Rick Trump, also their chief strategy officer, and Donald Trump Jr. is listed as a shareholder. Now, American Bitcoin is planning to go public via a NASDAQ merger, and Hut 8's new office in Dubai registered at the DIFC, the Dubai International Financial Center, that signals a serious push into the region. It seems strategic. Dubai offers, quote, broader capital strategies beyond just trading. It appeals to institutions managing big Bitcoin reserves and the funds they raised. Going into buying more Bitcoin, more mining gear, it shows real commitment there.
So Dubai, the Middle East, clearly becoming crypto power players. But their strategic focus, based on our sources, goes way beyond just crypto. They're also making huge strides in another game-changing field, artificial intelligence. And the impact is already being felt very directly in industries like aviation.
Yeah, zooming out a bit, Emirates Airlines is a perfect example of AI's practical impact. Like, right now, they're using AI-powered engine monitoring. It boosts flight safety, reduces costly diversions. The system gives them real-time engine health data, predictive diagnostics. It's already helped them avoid multiple diversions, letting flights continue safely. Emirates also uses AI to predict headwinds, tailwinds again, better safety. And beyond the flying part, AI is optimizing their catering logistics, making sure the right amount of food gets loaded, cutting down waste. That saves millions every year. The airline's also actively prepping to bring in generative AI, streamlining operations, improving how staff access info, making things faster, more professional. It really shows AI isn't just hype. It's a, quote, strategic enabler for their future growth, efficiency, safety.
Wow. Okay, we've definitely covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
From the potential ripples of that new U.S. bill on crypto markets to how traditional finance is surprisingly getting on board. And even seeing how AI is transforming aviation over in Dubai, we've really seen how policy, innovation, global shifts, they're all connected.
Yeah, the big theme that keeps coming up is that constant tension, isn't it, between centralization and decentralization, especially as new players, new tech comes online, and that emphasis on self-custody, it just remains so fundamental for real financial freedom, even as the mainstream doors keep opening wider.
So as you think back on this deep dive, maybe consider this. In a world where every new technology, every new policy creates both amazing opportunities but also potential vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
how will you use these insights? How will you maintain control, maintain clarity over your own financial and digital future? Something to think about.